Okay, in this tutorial we're going to look at answering the task that you can see on the page where you've got sort of 7 questions that are linked to this hydrograph. Okay, so before we look at the 7 questions, let's just have a think about what this hydrograph is showing us. So the hydrograph starts off by showing us that there are 4 hours of rain. So we have a rain event that lasts 4 hours. It starts in the first hour. There's no rain in the first hour, but then the second, the third, the fourth and the fifth hour there is rain. We can also see that between the third and the fourth hour we had our peak rainfall right there. Okay, now that's the kind of the issue to do with the rain. Let's also think about the discharge. So we can see that the river isn't doing anything for the first 2 hours. It's not rising at all, and then it starts to rise slowly before it starts to accelerate, and it actually reaches a peak discharge at the 7th hour. Okay, and that is approximately, if the peak rainfall was after 4 hours, or between the 3rd and the 4th, that there was a 3-hour lag time between when the most rain had fallen on the river and it reached its peak. So we have a very steep rising limb. What that really means is this river, the River Erne in this case, started rising quite quickly after it started raining and reached its peak quite fast. 3 hours would be considered to be a fast period of time, or would be considered to be a short lag time. The river's recession limb, we can see on this, is much less steep as it starts to go back down again. So let's have a look at the questions. Now that we've sort of understood that this is a graph that's really helping us understand what this river does when it rains, we've got the first question, which is for how many hours does the rain event last? So that's quite a simple question to answer because I've already covered that. After which hour does the peak rainfall occur? That is quite a simple answer because I've already covered that. And it does say after which hour, so it's at the end of the hour. Obviously that's when we would measure the peak having happened. We couldn't measure it at the start because we wouldn't know how much had happened that hour. The third one is, what is the total volume of rainfall? So we need to add up each of these bars together. And if I just do one for you, we can see we have 5 millimeters of rain in the first hour, and I got that from reading the left-hand scale. So I add that to the second hour, which I can see 10. So that would be 15. That's just the first 2 hours, 15 millimeters of rain. And then I just add the third and the fourth to that to get my total rainfall for the whole 4 hours. So how much water came out of the sky, and you want to be able to write that in millimeters. Number 4, at which hour does the discharge of the River Erne start to rise? So just look at your line graph and actually clock the moment when the river starts to rise. Okay, and that deals with number 4. Number 5, how long is the lag time? Now I've already covered that earlier on. Remember, the lag time is the point from the peak discharge, or the hour after the peak discharge was recorded, which is that one there, and the peak rainfall, and the peak discharge is that point there, and the lag time is the time it took to go from that peak rain to that peak discharge. That's question 6. And finally, describe the difference between the rising limb and the recession limb. Okay, and here we're thinking about gradient. Which one has got a steeper gradient and which one's got a gentler gradient? Okay, and you just need to state that to answer question 7. There you go. This tutorial should help you answer the 7 questions.